Welcome back. It's Inside Music Curation. We are on episode 4, and today we are talking about Lil Nas X. I was just commenting to these guys. He just launched his debut album, and already we are saying what a diverse catalog Lil Nas X has. So excited to dig in with our professional team of music curators to talk more about this very versatile artist and his new album, Montero. I've got Arturo Lovazzano. He is our curation operations manager, and he's got years in music and media everywhere from Samsung to Apple and Warner. Welcome, Arturo.
Hey, how are you? Nice to be here.
We've got Juan Hernandez-Cruz. He's a musician, an FMG curator, also DIY promoter, our resident metalhead. Thanks for joining us today, Juan.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having us.
And Mike Savage, he's done media, he's done on-air stuff, artist management, all music, all the time. Now an FMG curator. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
So again, we're talking about Lil Nas X, and this is Inside Music Curation. So, the spin on this is these guys here are curating music for businesses, mostly in the fitness arena, but for businesses every day. And so the way that they're looking at artists and music might be slightly different than a general consumer. And Lil Nas X has a very diverse catalog for how young of an artist and having just his debut album. So I'm really excited to chat with you guys and kind of dig in onto what makes him, so versatile and how he ended up here. So maybe let's start talking. I know the new album just came out this week. We've all had a chance to listen to it. Let's kind of dig in there. I know, Mike, you were talking about how he, really kind of had a dream team put together for this release. I'd love to hear more on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, just sort of the, and this is sort of like, the behind the scenes stuff. He was signed by a great guy named Ron Perry, who's the CEO of Columbia Records. I think it was one of his first signings as the CEO of the label. So it's priority number one for him to break this artist. So, the label is they're going to throw a whole bunch of money at this, right? I mean, I looked it up, and turns out there were 27 writers and 14 producers involved in this album. So they didn't spare any expense in the making of it. That's for sure. He's got Elton John on a track. He's got Doja Cat on a track. Megan Thee Stallion, Miley Cyrus is on a track. Ryan Tedder, one of the biggest pop songwriters in the business, was involved. Kanye produced the track. So this was set up to not fail, and I think they're going to do all right with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you're saying that, but also feel like, I've been following Lil Nas, for some time now, and I think we need to give, also a lot of credit to what he's done prior to this.
Yes, definitely. Not to take anything away from him.
Exactly. I mean, from the time of Old Time Road, I was reading a bunch of articles and some nuggets that make the story even better. Like, I didn't know that he bought that a sample for $30 on iTunes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's remarkable. And then they will go into, he's a marketing genius. I mean, he speaks, definitely 2 languages. He's fluent in English and fluent on internet.
Sure.
He will go into Reddit rooms, or I don't know how you call them, but and basically create interest of his own music. Like, he would post, oh, who sings, this song, that talks about, it's old time road or something, and people will start engaging until all this music, will eventually went to TikTok, and then that's how he became this huge star, using data and the internet.
And it definitely paid off. Let's just say at Old Town Road, I did look it up. It was 19 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, which was the longest running #1 song ever since the chart had started. So
yeah, even longer than the Macarena and I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. Those are the other 2. No, it's just incredible, the way that he has prepared himself for this debut.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rollout is pretty incredible. Given the fact that Old Town Road was a single and it was like a one-off, and then it went into that EP, which like had tracks like, I mean, it had a track that, well, actually Old Town Road got remixed by Trent Reznor. That's what it was. Yeah, now he's in his first full length, right? And it's incredible that we're talking about him in such high, like this high regard. But I think, like Arturo was saying, it's about the work he put in before. He's an amazing digital strategist, and he's been working at that, you know, way before Old Town Road came out. And I think that actually really speaks to the mind that Lil Nas X has to influence his audience, you know. And really, when you look at the career, and especially since he's come out, it's really been him influencing his constituents, or I mean his fans with you know, his content, which you know, it's interesting. We were talking about this before. I was talking about meme rap and how like Doja Cat and kind of like Blueface and rappers of that all kind of fell into that place like maybe 2-3 years ago, and how Lil Nas X really like took hold of that and was able to like really utilize that tongue-in-cheek quality of the internet to really expand his brand.
Yeah, I mean, he was building. Yeah, he built his fan base before he was even putting music out. I mean, you know, he was
making memes.
Yeah.
And he became super famous about that first.
Yeah, so he had people following him, and then he started. It's very smart, good way to do it, you know.
Totally. And you know, and the things that the way things happen for him, you know, I remember also like Old Town Road, you know, starting charting on the country Billboard chart, and they removed it because it wasn't country enough. And then what did he do? He went to Billy Ray Cyrus to like collaborate on the remix, and they have to like the song got a re-enter, you know, in the chart because of that. So it's how genius is that, you know, like. And you know, Billy Ray Cyrus was like, you know, this is one of the most amazing songs. I mean, he did it because he loved the song too. I mean, it's just brilliant. I mean, the whole thing, you know, that, you know, Lil Nas has been doing, it's just brilliant. He's a strategist. He's like a brilliant marketer, and you know, an excellent performer and singer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it seems, you know, I think Juan, you were talking, he really curates for his audience, and he takes a lot of risks.
He does, and I think that especially like some of his like social political views and like the way that he conducts himself as far as like how he's really trying to communicate to his fan base is so curated, but it's so perfect. And that's why he has that relationship. And I think to a degree, that's how he's able to spread so quickly and fast through like, you know, these different like entities like TikTok, Twitter, because he is kind of like this really good platform for those issues. Sorry.
Now, the other aspect, you know, that I think it's we need to highlight, you know, it's this guy, you know, he's a huge pop star, you know, he's a hit maker, but also like he wants to be recognized as, you know, as out as a gay man, you know, like that it's, you know, very, very important. Like, you know, it's not something that I guess, you know, we are used to see, you know, like straight people like kissing each other in videos, you know, and maybe now he's paving, you know, the road for other, you know, artists that they want to express themselves, you know, in any way or form. And you could just love is love, you know. I mean, the latest single, what's the name of the one with that happens, you know, at the football, you know, match.
That's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, I almost cried about, you know, when I watched the video, right? I mean, it's just like so beautifully done. I mean, I think he's an advocate, you know. Also, he's not only trying to like be successful with his music, but he's trying to do something completely different here from a, you know, perspective of an advocate as well, in my view.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, we talked about this earlier too, where you know, Madonna did it, and Lady Gaga did it, and you know, now Lil Nas X is you know, bringing it out and putting it into the forefront. Where, you know, look, it might be a little bit polarizing, but it's it's you know,
But it shouldn't be polarized.
art is supposed to make people uncomfortable, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's the point. It's polarizing now, but it shouldn't be. And you know,
Yeah, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comforting. The comfortable is the quote.
And if you really think about it, it's almost a response to the call that Madonna gave out in the 80s and in the early 90s. You know, that kind of lineage of like cultural icons and kind of like the conversation they have throughout time. I think that like Lil Nas X is the thing that we needed.
Yeah.
As far as like the thing that we needed to just break that mold. I think that in the hip hop or just in popular music in general, there are certain people that are very, you know, outward with their sexuality, but it's still not something that is like as like out for everyone, right? I mean, we have so many artists like Frank Ocean or Tyler the Creator, or you know that, you know, it doesn't. I mean, not that it matters, you know, but for him to be so out and forward with it is such a refreshing thing to see, especially when it's coming from both the hip hop and country community. I think that's an excellent thing to check out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
let's talk a little bit more about the diversity in the genres of the music that he's putting out. And
Exactly.
again, in just a few singles, an EP, his debut album, he's hit a lot of the check boxes on genres.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, as curators, I use, you know, his music pretty much for every big genre that is out there, you know, pop, hip hop, top 40, including obviously country, you know, like I can use, you know, the Billy Ray Cyrus, you know, remix and it's totally fits, you know, the stations, you know, that we build day to day here. So, I mean, he's a hugely important artist. I mean, but besides that, as Juan was saying, I mean, he's even bigger than his own music. I mean, this guy is, you know, we're gonna have Lil Nas X for a long time, and I'm happy about that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about, you know, who you guys are curating for and what that means. You know, when you're putting together a pop playlist for a digital fitness company, like what puts Lil Nas X into that category? Because I know it doesn't always work, right? Like the top 40 hits are not always a match for digital fitness users. What makes his music fit into these playlists?
Flows really well. It's catchy. It's bouncy. It has, I mean, the last two songs that he had are like between 94 and 98 BPM. So it's on the lower range of the BPM scale, but it's still at a good rate where you can get a nice light jog in, you know? But with Lil Nas, what's interesting about his whole like album really is that there's really so many different types of playlists that you can really hit with his album. You know, he has some stuff that's good for like, you know, like a cool down track in a workout, but then he has some stuff that's hyped up that's good enough for like a high intensity run. And I think that's what really makes it so special is the fact that, you know, not only is this kid coming out with super catchy music that is, you know, very easy to work out to, you know, but for, you know, for our purposes, it's just music that's also pretty clean for the most part, you know, and that also helps us out well as well.
It's not explicit. You know, it touches on some provocative subjects, but not in a way that is going to be offensive to people who don't like to hear, you know, F-bombs. You know, the other thing about him too is that this is something else we discussed. You know, one of the things that we as curators have is we have that sort of proprietary information where we can see just exactly what songs our customers, users like or don't like or skip entirely. And one of the things that I had noticed is that people weren't skipping Lil Nas X, but they were skipping Eminem. And I think that you know, Lil Nas X, you know, his singles so far on the album as well, I mean, he's singing. They're melodic tracks. And you know, I think people, you know, Eminem is just kind of yelling at you for 3.5 minutes, and I think people it's abrasive, and people just are like, okay, stop yelling at me, please, you know, and they skip it over, but they don't skip Lil Nas X.
Yeah, And to that, what Juan was saying in terms of curation, sometimes a song, if it's like low BPM rate, but his singles, have this positivity, the melody, is upbeat. So it's like the intensity of a song, although it's a lower BPM rate, it's very high. And I can tell you about songs that are probably like way higher BPM, but the mood feels kind of lower. His songs are like upbeat, like they're perfect for workouts, in pretty much any category. I mean, if you want to stretch or if you want to do like some lifting, I think from that standpoint, I mean, his music is perfect for Feed a Fam and our Curation too.
Absolutely. And one thing I did notice when I was listening to the record, it's a very smooth record. There's nothing like that's like really intrusive. So it's like you can just like chill in it. It's not like, when you're listening to a dubstep record and there's like the crazy, like, tremors, like sound or whatever that breaks you out of like, the vibe or the feeling. Like Arturo was saying, like most of his music is super upbeat and it's just like that vibe stays within the whole track. So it's like, makes it great. And also his tracks are like 2 minutes long. Like I think the longest track on this record may be like 3 minutes, which like, back in the 90s, that was like a short song, so it's cool to see.
And he's keeping the beat, because I know some of the other new albums that have come out recently have not been drum focused. And I think for a curator working on BPM, working in fitness specifically, what does that mean to you to not have those drums there? And does this help, keep these stations fresh with, beats?
There's a reason why he's popular.
I don't think it is. There is truth to what you're saying, Melissa. But in this case, he's so popular. His music is so well done. Mm-hmm. It's just and what Mike was saying. Like we don't see skips. We don't see dislikes. And I mean, he's just. And I think that has to do because he's been working on this for a very long time. He totally understands what he's doing. This is not a coincidence, right? And that's what makes and especially the new the album that just got released. As Juan said, it's just a pleasure to listen to. You're not gonna hear anything like, oh, this song is kind of no. It's just like it flows, from start to the end. I mean, it's I get excited about this because there was a lot of time that I haven't heard like a pop artist that because I really wish that he becomes like this cultural also star.
Yeah. Well, we're getting close to time, so I want to bring it back again. This is Inside Music Curation. We work for Feed Media Group. We specialize in B2B music platforms where we're curating music for leading digital fitness companies and their end users, whether they're doing a high intensity workout or a yoga session. So I just want to bring it back and say, how does being a music curator affect your approach to evaluating new music and new artists? We're talking a little bit about his new album Montero and about him as an artist. How is your opinion of him today different than before you were a music curator? How are you looking at music now?
As a music curator, it's like you're curating for everyone. You're not just curating for yourself, and like you use the knowledge that you have from personally, listening to influence that like spectrum of what you give out. And with Lil Nas X, like what I'll say is I'm a metalhead, so like as most metalheads know, like it's pop is not really our forte, although secretly it is.
You're totally right.
Yeah,
I have a lot of stories about that.
Exactly.
A lot of metal musicians that they're totally into other genres.
Absolutely. But understanding what Lil Nas X not only is culturally, but then sonically, understanding what our customers need as far as like, intensities or what kind of like vibe they want. He's an excellent artist for that, and it makes it, not that it makes the job easier, but it definitely it's a confident pick when you pick Lil Nas X for a station.
Yeah, I totally second that. What Juan said. I mean, every time that you can almost use his music as a joker, right? Like, when you play cards, it's everywhere.
Wild card.
Yeah, a wild card. Okay, that's me translating, from in my brain.
Any other closing points on listening to new artists and as music curation, or maybe for businesses that are trying to curate their playlists and how they might be approaching listening?
I mean, I was on a plane last night from New York to LA, and I was listening to some playlists that some friends of mine had put together. Just like we all trade sort of mixtape type dating myself by saying that mixtape, but trading playlists of new music or old music or whatever, and I was literally making notes as I was sitting in my seat listening, like, this artist, this song will be perfect for a high intensity playlist for customer X, or this is a great cool down track that could be used in just as easily in a yoga class as a pop class. So I'm hearing things now and trying to figure out where I can use it, with the playlist that we're putting together, for sure.
You're always working, Mike.
Always on. Yes, always working.
I think we always do that. Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I'm always listening to music and thinking about, how can I use, this in my daily work. And that was, when I was listening to the album from Lil Nas X, I'm like, oh, I can use this song in this station. I can use the other song in this station.
Yeah.
Also because I know that they're going to work very well. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're out there and you're doing a digital workout and Lil Nas comes up, you might have to thank one of these guys for putting that in the playlist. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Inside Music Curation, we're here every other Wednesday talking about topics in music curation, from genres, artists, to use cases. Check us out at feedmediagroup.com, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.